You're watching UTVS, local TV for the Granite City. UTVS News, weekdays at 5 and 6. UTVS News, weekdays at 5 and 6.
Hello, Granite City. This is the best spot for every Husky highlight and St. Cloud score. This is Husky Mag. I'm Jake Berglund.
And I'm Andrew Erickson. Welcome to the studio, and let's get it started right away.
Don't know about you, Andrew, but my favorite building on campus is the Herb Brooks Center.
It is also one of my favorites. It's home to the Husky hockey team, and what's not to love about that? Now let's kick off the show with what's happening with the men's team.
Of course. First, let's head over to the Rocky Mountains where the Huskies duked it out with the Tigers. John Lizotte got the sled dog started with a goal around 9 minutes into the game. It was his first goal for St. Cloud, and another one followed soon after. The Huskies were on the power play, and Mike Essamont took full advantage of that opportunity. As soon as that happened, the floodgates burst open and the Huskies netted 5 goals. After that, the Tigers switched netminders. The 7-3 victory for St. Cloud was a hard-fought battle, though. It was full of penalties, including a boarding major by Will Borgen. It was a wild night in Colorado Springs for the Huskies. Scoring 5 goals is impressive in the game, but 7 is almost unheard of. What makes this game incredible is that each goal was scored by a different Husky skater. John Lizotte started the game with a rally to start the first period, followed by Mikey Essamont just 2 minutes later. Jack Paling finished off the first with a nifty little goal as well. The second was full of penalties, and it did help the Huskies. Jack Ashon found the back of the net while Tiger rotted in the sin bin, and soon St. Cloud is down a man, but not out. Jimmy short-handled a stick late in the middle period. Judd Peterson showed which team was in charge by scoring at the start of the third. And the last goal for the Huskies, the nail in the coffin, was pounded out by Blake Winicky. One heck of a way to start a road trip.
It certainly did, and the end wasn't too bad either. As we jump right into Saturday night, the Huskies will be looking for their third sweep of the season. Colorado College would start the scoring when Bryce Van Horn nets a power play goal midway through the first, but it would be all Huskies from there on out as they would tie it in the closing minutes of the first and take the lead on the power play in the opening minutes of the second. Both of those goals were scored by Mike Essamont. He must have felt pretty comfortable back at home in his home state of Colorado. Later in the second, the Huskies would seal the deal, netting two more, putting them firmly in the lead 4-1. And that is where we would finish, with the Huskies completing that third sweep on the season. Now, if we take a look at the NCHC standings. Starting at the top, we have the UMD Bulldogs, who hold a commanding 5-point lead over the Denver Pioneers. Next down the line are the Omaha Mavericks, followed by Western Michigan, and all the way down at the 5th spot are your St. Cloud State Huskies, who have 6 points on the year in the conference. They were followed by the team that they just took down in Colorado College, and rounding out the bottom is North Dakota Fighting Hawks and Miami, who is yet to pick up a conference win this year. The Fighting Hawks are the defending NCHC champions and the defending national champions, but they have not had a good start to their season yet. And yeah.
Right, and being in the top 10 is still a very respectable spot for any team. Let's say again to those national rankings for men's hockey. Climbing up to the top is the Denver Pioneers. Last poll, they were ranked number 2, but that spot now belongs to the UMD Bulldogs. St. Cloud's rival from the north sit above the Eagles from Beantown, Boston that is. Right behind them is Quinnipiac, and the Terriers that Boston U Massachusetts Lowell takes the number 6 spot, followed by the Gophers. St. Cloud's opponent this weekend takes the number 8 spot for best team in the nation. Rounding off at 9 is the scourge of South Bend, Indiana, the Fighting Irish. St. Cloud State still sits in the top 20 at number 12 nationwide. So Andrews, tell us what's happening at the Brooks Center this weekend.
Brooks Center this weekend. Well, coming up, we have those Fighting Hawks we were talking about. They're coming down to take on the Huskies in a battle of top 15 teams. The Huskies will be looking to bury the Fighting Hawks in the standings early in the season. Puck drops set to be at 7:37 Friday and 7:07 Saturday night. But it won't be easy when the Brooks Center is rocking with a sea of green and red. You know North Dakota fans will make that drive down to see one of the greatest rivalries in college hockey.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Let's go cross ice now to the women's hockey team. Last week, we had the Buckeyes battle the Lady Huskies, and what a series Friday's game. At the Brooks Center started off with Caroline Marsham getting a game misconduct early in the game for a check from behind. This was the first period scoreless, and the Buckeyes struck with a second for a pair of goals from Sorum and Borley. The Huskies fired 20 shots on goal, but were unable to find the back of the net. 5 of those shots were from Lauren Hespenheide, one of St. Cloud State's key players. The final score was Buckeyes 3, Huskies 0. But how did the ladies do on Saturday, though?
On Saturday, they turned the tables on the Buckeyes. After not having tallied a point in almost 130 minutes of play, the Husky ladies exploded offensively, putting 4 goals past one of the best goaltenders in the nation in Cassidy Schwab, who came into the night with a .950 save percentage. St. Cloud State would open up the scoring with a goal from freshman Kayla Friesen, and there was assists were going to Paige Pena and Rachel Herzog. In the second, senior Caroline Markstrom netted her first goal of the year and bumped the lead up. In the third, scoring would open up a bit with 3 goals in total, but the final tally would go to Julia Tilke, who puts the game out of reach with just 3 minutes remaining. The Lady Huskies would pick up their 4th victory of the year, which all have been backstopped by freshman netminder Janine Alder. Now, if we take a look at the WCHA standings, we have a talented Wisconsin club at the top there. They have been at the top since the very beginning of the season when they swept the Huskies. They are followed closely by the U of M, and that's where it drops off a bit, with UMD and North Dakota. And then we'll find the Lady Huskies down at number 5 with their 3 conference wins. And rounding out the bottom is Bemidji State, Ohio State, and Mankato, who again has yet to pick up their first win on the season in the conference.
Next up, the Lady Huskies head to the home of Paul Bunyan and Babe to take on the Bemidji State Beavers. WCHA rivals face off for the first time this season. The Huskies are looking for redemption. The Beavers controlled last year's series against the Huskies, winning 3 out of 4. The Huskies are hoping to take advantage of the Beavers' current losing streak, which has stretched out to 9 games. Both games take place at 3 this weekend, and so if you're in town for both those games, you might be able to make it back to St. Cloud before that big snowstorm hits.
Just maybe.
Coming up after the break, we'll say goodbye to fall as we bid adieu to Huskies football.
As one season closes, another one opens, men's and women's basketball start up, and we will take a look at the hardwood. Husky Mag will be right back.
You're watching UTVS, local TV for the Granite City. You're watching UTVS, local TV for the Granite City. Visit utvsnews.com for all of your local news. You're watching UTVS, local TV for the Granite City. You're watching UTVS, local TV for the Granite City. Visit utvsnews.com for all of your local news. You're watching UTVS, local TV for the Granite City.
bring us up to 10.
Visit utvsnews.com for all of your local news.
Welcome back. One of my favorite parts of attending the school is catching the football game at Husky Stadium with that beautiful Mississippi River behind it. St. Cloud State wrapped up its season with a dogfight against Minnesota Duluth. The Huskies started out strong to get a couple of quick touchdowns thanks to our QB, Nate Meyer. His first one was a 72-yard pass. That's no typo. The guy's name's John Pass. With only 7 minutes left in the first, 10 yards was all Meyer needed to get over to Anthony Carver. The second quarter belonged to the Bulldogs, though, scoring 14 points. The Huskies ended the half with a 27-14 lead. The third led to a tie at 34 apiece, and the final 10 minutes of the game, the Bulldogs topped the Huskies with a final score of 48-34. The final standings for the NSIC are a sight to see. Minnesota Duluth was crowned the winner of the North Division with an overall 10-1 record. The Beavers ended the season with a respectable record of 8-3, being tailed by the Moorhead Dragons. Northern State brings out the middle in 4th place, and our Huskies land the number 5 spot this season. The Marauders from Minot State and Mary fill up numbers 6 and 7, and finish at the bottom was Minnesota Crookston Golden Eagles. Another exciting season of college football, huh, Andrew?
It was an exciting season. If we take a look at the major points from it on the gridiron, it doesn't look too pretty, actually. Final overall record for the Huskies, we're going to finish 5-6 on the year. In general, the Huskies just could not come up with that major victory this year by defeating a really good NSIC opponent, kind of winning the games they're supposed to and losing the games they weren't supposed to win. But we have some bright spots here. Big one being wideout Jamison Parsons, who caught 71 passes for 1,142 yards and 7 touchdowns this season. This is only the 7th 1,000-yard receiving season in school history, and he's the second to do it in back-to-back seasons. If we jump to the defensive side of the ball, we have junior defensive back Carvel Graham, and he was the star to shine through with 4 interceptions and 50 tackles. That led the Huskies DBs, and to add to that, he had 4 pass breakups and a forced fumble. That's a great season for him.
Yeah, for sure, Andrew. Let's head next door to Hallenbeck Hall, where the men's basketball team hosts the MIAA NSIC Challenge College Tournament. The Huskies were the first foe the last weekend was the Missouri Southern State Lions Friday night. Gage Davis was the lead sled dog for the Huskies with 15 points and 12 rebounds. Andy Foley, a St. Cloud hometown boy, scored 9 points and had 2 steals for the evening. The Lions point guard C.J. Cars had 25 points and 7 steals and rebounds. That game was never one-sided, though, having 8 lead changes. Pretty impressive. The Lions ended up kings of the court, though, winning 82-71. How do you do on the Saturday night game, though, Andrew?
Well, on Saturday, the men would bounce back and pick up their first victory of the season in a game against the Gorillas from Pittsburgh. The Huskies were led by sophomore Gage Davis, like you said, on Friday night, and he poured in 26 on Saturday. And he was right behind him was Scotty Stone with 22. Now, the Huskies were absolutely money from behind the arc, hitting 13 of 25 threes for a 52% mark. The final was a 23-point thrashing by the Huskies, and the ending final score was going to be 91-68 in favor of the Huskies.
Wow.
Now, next time out, the Huskies will be at home on Friday night, where they will take on the Waldorf College Warriors down at Hallenbeck at 8 p.m. The Warriors are 2-4 on the season, playing in 2 preseason tournaments, and they will play Thursday, actually, against Minnesota Crookston right before they come to St. Cloud. And this will actually only be the only game for the Huskies this weekend.
Impressive. Saturday night, the Lady Huskies welcomed the University of Jamestown Jimmies to Hallenbeck Hall. The Jimmies dominated the opening 5 minutes of the opening quarter, keeping the Huskies scoreless. The first quarter ended 20-13. The second is where the Huskies picked up steam and put plenty in the basket for catching up. A score of 25-21. This can be credited to Taylor Persh and Chelsea Nooker's jaw-dropping layups. Huskies played a strong second half, but it wasn't enough as the Jimmies walked out of Hallenbeck Hall with a W and a final score of 81-69.
If we take a look on Sunday, the women's basketball team got back on the winning track with a great short-term memory and an 86-73 victory over Dakota Wesleyan. The Lady Huskies were paced by senior Betsy McDonald, who scored at a point per minute pace with 26 points in 26 minutes. Right behind her was senior Chelsea Nuker with 18 points, while she shot a scorching 68% from the field. And coming in third is newcomer freshman Madeline Damon, who finished with 13 points. That puts the Huskies back above 500 in the early going here at 2-1 on the year.
Excellent, excellent. Saturday, the Huskies Classic continues. The Huskies take on the Northland College Jills. The Jills are still looking for the season's first win. After dropping an exhibition to the University of Jamestown and Bethel University, the Jills stop in St. Paul to battle Bemidji State on Friday. Get to Hollenbeck Hall early to grab a good seat. Tip-off is set at 4. Coming up next on Husky Mag, we talk to some of St. Cloud's finest swimmers.
And we dive into the upcoming swimming events. Stay tuned here on Husky Mag. We'll be right back.
Watching UTVS, local TV for the Granite City.
Thomas was last week. No, we just hear the music for the commercials. Either of us? No.
Visit utvsnews.com for all of your local news. Watching UTVS, local TV for the Granite City.
And we're going to take a look at the women's 3-meter dive standings from their invitational at St. Thomas last week. The Huskies would send all 4 of their entered divers to the finals in this one, and they would all place in the top 8 of a total of 14 divers, with their best coming in third in the way of Lonnie Anderson, who is a junior. And the top places were held by Mankato divers, actually, who were only apart by a single point. I mean, less than a single point, actually. It was .95.
Amazing.
And if we look down the standings, we will see Sam Sell and Britton Thompson at 5 and 6 respectively, and rounding it out at 8 was Jalen Brinkman for the Lady Huskies. Now we took at some swim standings here for Division II for the swim and dive, for the women's swim and dive coaches poll, I should say. And at the top, we have Drury, who is followed by Queens, North Carolina. Then we have the UC San Diego and Nova Southeastern, and that Nova Southeastern are tied and rounding out the top 3. The Huskies are all the way down at 15th, only garnering 98 points from the coaches' voting, even with their impressive 8-2 record on the year. So how are the men doing in the pool, Jake?
Well, let's go down to the swimming hole to see how the Huskies men's team did against last week's opponent, St. Thomas. The Huskies headed to St. Paul for the Thomas Invite, and it was a very good night for SCSU as Tristan Ferguson and Brian Burke led the men's 200 free relay. As for women's, Andrea Bryson took the crown for the 500 freestyle. St. Cloud ended up winning with a score of the dual meet 1,238 to 1,231. The women's team scored 1,179, beating both MSU Moorhead and MSU Mankato. Coming up for swimming is University of South Dakota Coyotes. The Huskies are hoping to build on last week's win. The Coyotes are on a 3-meet losing skid to South Dakota State, the Iowa Hawkeyes, and Northern Iowa. That gives the team a record of 1-3 overall. They will invade Hallenbeck Hall on Friday with a start at 4. Earlier today, I caught up with a couple of star SCSU swimmers, Chelsea Gerke and Tristan Ferguson. Let's take a look. We're now joined in the studio by Chelsea Gerke and Tristan Ferguson. How's it going, guys?
Going pretty well. How about you?
Good. Well, welcome to the studio. Glad to have you on. First of all, congrats on that big win this weekend in the Twin Cities. What has been the focus of practice these last few weeks?
Well, we've been kind of preparing for competing, and we're kicking up the yardage for a lot of the speed work for preparing for taper coming up pretty soon.
Now, the women's team has a lot of success this season, and you had a great meet this last weekend, placing 7th in the 50 freestyle. Overall, what are you going to do to keep up this momentum? What are you going to do about that?
I'm just going to keep training hard and get ready for taper, which will bring us into our mid-season meet.
All right, thank you. Tristan, you had a strong meet as well. You won the 100 freestyle along with the anchoring, winning 200 freestyle relay. How are you going to continue the success with the freestyles?
Like how I have before, we've been training very hard this season. Obviously, our competition has gotten a lot faster too, along with South Dakota coming up this Friday. They also increased their amount of talented freestylers, so we're looking forward to it.
All right, so can we expect a really good matchup this weekend?
Oh, definitely, yeah.
All right,
it'll be fun.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for joining us in the studio today. Yes, these are two of St. Cloud's finest swimmers, and I wish them the best of luck this weekend and hope you guys grab another W for SCSU.
Thank you.
Still coming up, it's our favorite part of the week. It's Blizzard's Best.
See which Husky highlights made the cut right after this.
A little bit with some snow, turning over to rain as we go through the day tomorrow.
It's 44 degrees. The rain did start to come down again. We had a short break there.
Bring us up to 10.
You're watching UTVS, local TV for the Granite City.
Donald, thanks for your top-notch performance on Sunday's game.
That's right, Jake. The St. Paul native had 26 points for the Cardinal in Black, and she shot 63% from the field.
All right, let's check out these shots. Way in the back, look at that sinker. Beautiful.
That is a beautiful shot.
Oh,
Another
gorgeous.
one. She was hooking them up from all over the court over here and making everything.
Oh, beautiful. Just top-notch shot. I love that. Very great.
And now we're going to move on to Blizzard's Best.
Alrighty, let's get things started.
We
here.
have a pass from Nate Meyer, and this is going to roll to his right, pass it to John Pass, and he's going to slip the defense, and he is going to be gone all the
Ooh,
way,
look at him go.
untouched. No one's going to touch him to the house. That is going to put the Huskies up 7-0.
Oh, what a beaut. Coming in at number 2 is once again Nate Meyer throwing an 11-yard dime to sophomore tight end Anthony Carver. Let's take a look at this as the senior quarterback puts it right where his only guy can get it. Oh, wonderful, wonderful.
And freshman kick returner Nick Greenland receives the kick at his own 14-yard line. He is going to find a hole. He is going to be gone to the house. No one is going to touch him. That is going to be an 86-yard kick return for a touchdown for the Huskies.
That's impressive.
That's a beautiful run right there.
Oh my gosh, that was great. That was a fantastic run.
Well, thank you for joining us for another exciting edition of Husky Mag.
Come back next week for more Husky highlights, so see you next time.
Visit utvsnews.com for all of your local news. You're watching UTVS, local TV for the Granite City.
Here at UTVS News, we are always ready for a new day.
Welcome to UTVS News tonight at 6 o'clock.
Following the lead, the action,
bench for the extra attacker, down back,
the tragedies, the unpredictability, and the stories that keep our community informed and together.
UTVS News, local news for the Granite City. Visit utvs.com and learn more about SCSU's television station. You're watching UTVS, local TV for the Granite City. UTVS News, weekdays at 5 and 6. You're watching UTVS, local TV for the Granite City. You're watching UTVS, local TV for the Granite City. UTVS News, weekdays at 5 and 6. UTVS News, weekdays at 5 and 6. UTVS News, weekdays at 5 and 6. You're watching UTVS, local TV for the Granite City. UTVS News, weekdays at 5 and 6. UTVS News, weekdays at 5 and 6. You're watching UTVS, local TV for the Granite City.